Peace, family, and welcome to the Draped Maniac Podcast. This is Ayapo Yapa, the HDIC, that is, the head Draptomaniac in charge. And we're here to have conversations on how to get off this plantation. Black, and some white, social media exploded as there was story upon story, commentary after commentary, discussion upon discussion, and beef after beef pertaining to Ice Cube's contract with Black America proposal. When I hear statements like, we need to apply political pressure on elected officials and those in control of the system until we get reparations or until we can get the police to stop killing us in the streets and so on, there's one thing that we're overlooking. Just like a plot hole in a movie, sometimes if one is not paying attention and is swept away by the excitement, terror, or action of the movie, then things are not questioned until dissecting the movie unemotionally and separated from the spectacle of it.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure that you listeners are listening to the Draptomaniac podcast on doayamedia.com. You are, right?
I feel that it's something our people sometimes forget or are aware of altogether. We have somehow determined in our minds that it's our votes that get politicians elected or not. But what's the reality? Population estimates as of July 1st, 2019 says that there are 328,239,523 people in the United States. 76.3% are white. 13.4% are black. 1.3% are Native American and Alaska Natives. 5.9% are Asian. 0.2% are Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islanders. 2.8% are of two or more races, in other words, biracial. 18.5% are Hispanic or Latino. I want to repeat just these two. 18.5% are Hispanic or Latino, and 13.4% are black. And 76.3% are white. According to a July 2020 Reuters article titled, U.S. Public More Aware of Racial Inequality, but Still Rejects Reparations, Reuters said, only 1 in 5 respondents agreed the United States should use taxpayer money to pay for damages to descendants of enslaved people in the United States. Another quote from the article says, and this is another Reuters poll, it shows the clear division among partisans and racial lines, with only 1 in 10 white respondents supporting the idea of reparations and half of black respondents endorsing it. And I have to admit that surprised me. I thought that a number of black people who would be in favor of reparations would be way higher than that. But it said in this article it was 50%. Republicans were heavily opposed at nearly 80%, no surprise there, while about 1 in 3 Democrats supported it. Now, before you get too excited, 1 in 3 is roughly 33%, meaning that 66%, well over half, of Democrats are against it. The point I'm seeking to make is that we do not live in a vacuum. As we have spirited discussions about how to move forward for reparations, we shake our fists and make demands, threatening to either vote or withhold our vote based upon whether or not a candidate has a specific black agenda in place. We are totally ignoring the fact, however, whether on purpose or by proxy, that within this construct, we actually have either no power at all, or what little power we do have is negligible. We have seen it ourselves as politicians seeking support cater to Hispanic and Latino peoples more and mention our people as an afterthought or in the context of quote-unquote people of color. That is because they now outnumber us as a percentage, Again, 18.5% versus black people at 13.4%. I once worked at a company that sold electronics. They would not ship to P.O. boxes. There were many times when there would be a hot item and the phones would ring off the hook with orders for that item. And I would have to let the people know on the other end that we do not ship to P.O. boxes. We had to have a physical address. If they either would not or could not give a physical address, they would, usually within the framework of a profanity-filled rant, would say, well, you just lost a sale, or you lost a customer. And after the person hung up, guess what? The phone would immediately ring again, and there would be someone else seeking to purchase the same item and willing to have it shipped to a physical address. So, the company did not, in fact, lose a sale. They just did not sell to the other person. If there were 10,000 of the items in stock and all 10,000 sold, then what sale was lost? None. The threat of losing a customer or losing a sale means nothing when there are hundreds and in some cases thousands of people standing in line to take your place. So it is with our people. We want to think that we have power we do not have. I have mentioned in other podcasts that the supposed threats of voting for the other guy or withholding our vote could move politicians and people in power to do the right thing by our people. But what we are saying is actually just another version of you're about to lose a sale or lose a customer. The stats already show that black people are a smaller voting bloc than Hispanics and Latinos, and that our numbers are dwarfed by white people. And the talking points and rhetoric shows that politicians go aggressively after the Hispanic vote and even more strongly for the white population, suburbanites in particular. And our people, where do we stand? We are the people who get angry and swear and yell about how they lost a sale or lost a customer just before we hang up, and somebody from the white or Hispanic community immediately rings the phone and gets what they want. But it's worse than that, if you can even believe such a thing is possible. Many of our people look myopically at withholding our vote as some kind of a bargaining chip. But not only do the votes of white people, Hispanics, and even some of our own people make up for that deficit. When you look at the number of people, most white, but certainly some Hispanics and again, even some of our own people, who are against our people getting any kind of reparations, we must face the reality that even if some of those politicians actually wanted to do something right by our people and to make some serious moves to close the racial wealth gap, for every one of us who says we're willing to withhold our support, there are 8 to 10 white people, Hispanics, and even black people who are saying, if you do that for black people, then we'll withhold our support. See? That, in my opinion, is something that our people, for the most part, have just not taken into consideration. To be honest, and speaking with my wife last week, I just started taking into account that added aspect. So, even if politicians cared or are concerned about not getting our support, which for the most part they aren't, because they have plenty of support from other groups and most of the big money and bankers and corporations that own them lock, stock, and barrel. There is the added motivation to dismiss our demands because doing for us would be far more costly to them than not doing anything for us. So here are our threats. If you don't do something for me, then you won't get my support. Their answer? There are 15 white people and people of other races, including your own, standing here saying that if I do something for you, then they will stop supporting me. We say, we will not support you if you don't do something for us. They say, the corporations, industries, and bankers who are responsible for my lifestyle will stop supporting me if I do anything for you, when you have literally nothing to offer but your support. We say, we demand that you do something for our people, or else we'll see to it that you get put out of office. They say, The entire time that we're in office, we legislate to strengthen the positions of corporations, industries, and banks who are paying us so that their positions are as solid as possible. So if on the outside chance that one day I am no longer holding this office, I can just go and sit on one of their advisory boards or some equally high-paying, low-work job that they create for me and live the rest of my life making millions of dollars doing basically nothing. And so, along with that, the politicians and people in power say, you want me to flush all that down the toilet? For what again? Because it's the right thing to do? Because I should feel some moral obligation? Because I'm supposed to be working for the people? Because of some imagined threat by you about my position? Your demands and positions have all the elements of a joke. Now, I have said, and I continue to say, the only power our people can ever have or will ever have lies outside the construct of this system. It's a hard thing to admit that one is powerless, but that is our position within this system. We have no power, no bargaining chip, no leverage, nothing. And for the reasons I have listed, we give ourselves and each other this illusion of power. The belief that we can move something within this system. But the truth is, anything that seems to happen in our favor is by design and works in order to keep us engaged in it and working within this system that will never work for us or unfortunately remunerate to our people what is owed to us, especially knowing that were that to happen, it might give our people some footing. Think for a moment about what we're asking of these people, and especially in terms of reparations. We're demanding that the people who created this system, as part of the very design that requires our people at the bottom of it. Like playing Jenga and picking at the parts until the structure collapses, we're saying, we understand that you've created this system that keeps you winning no matter what, and that keeps you on the top no matter what. But we demand that you take actions that will put us on equal footing and thus totally collapse what you've built, and to make it so that you no longer have the power that you once had and that we have some of it. That is what we're asking. I don't know how we can seriously consider that anyone, knowing that their power all lies in keeping us down and at the bottom so that they can remain on top, would in any way ever do anything that would endanger that system and change that system. I don't understand how we fix our minds to believe that. But that's what we're saying to these individuals, or quote unquote demanding, if you want to put it that way. There is absolutely no reason for them to do that. There's no impetus for them to do that. And we have no or else. Because when we say, give us what we demand or else, they always say, or else what? And anything we use as a threat is immediately neutralized by any one of the things that I talked about earlier, or a combination of them, or all of them. Ayako, it seems like you're trying to get our people to give up any hope at all. Good. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. But only within the context of this system. White people have created this to protect, promote, and shield themselves. And therefore, there's no way for us to work within it. I've said it before. If you're playing a game where you have all kinds of rules and restrictions placed upon you, but your opponent has no rules, no restrictions, and the power to change any rule at a whim, it is impossible for you to beat them. Impossible. The only solution is to leave the game. And that is why I say now and always, the answer is to separate from this system. Therein is our power. Do our people deserve and are entitled to reparations? Yes, yes, yes. But our mindset has to be that at the same time that we fight for reparations, for those of us who have that mission, we must also be of the mindset that reparations or not, we are about separating from this system. If we don't get reparations, we're separating. If we do get reparations, we're separating. That is where we'll find our power and the ability to grow and to build and to flourish. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Drapetomaniac Podcast. This is Ayapo Yapa, the HDIC, that is, the head Drapetomaniac in charge, wishing you security, safety, and sanity through separation, along with peace and blessings. Until we meet again next week at the same time, until then, I'll see you on the run.
And thank you again for listening to the Drapetomaniac Podcast. Tune in next week at doiamedia.com. DOIAMEDIA.com. And again, we'll catch you on the run. Peace.